big realms, spiritual realms. There's good, there's evil, and they are slugging it out for the souls of mankind. And my question is, why are we even important? Little old flawed humanity. Why are we important in that process?
Mel Gibson's new film isn't just controversial, it's being treated like a supernatural threat. And the man who once laughed off Hollywood as a den of demonic influence is now taking precautions that sound like something out of a horror movie. Insiders from the Rome set of The Resurrection of the Christ say Gibson refuses to roll cameras unless a priest is present. Every scene depicting the fall of angels is reportedly preceded by blessings. What's more, no one outside his inner circle has been allowed to read the full script. According to Lionsgate representatives at the American film market, the screenplay is so locked down that even investors are being told to take it on faith. This isn't creative secrecy anymore. It's controlled panic.
Yeah, there was a lot of opposition to it. And I don't know. I think if you ever hit on that subject matter, you're going to get people going. Because,
of course,
it's big subject matter. And it's like, and my contention is, when I was making it, it was like, you're making this film, and the idea was that we're all responsible for this, that his sacrifice was for all mankind.
We've seen directors behave erratically under pressure before, but this feels different. Gibson has spent decades cultivating an image of fearless defiance, the man who challenged studio systems, critics, and cultural taboos. Yet the same figure now overseeing a 2-part biblical epic worth nearly $200 million is operating under what one executive called spiritual security protocols. Technicians have described power outages that happen only during demonic battle sequences. One lighting engineer told us the equipment wouldn't misfire until we got to the hell scenes. And Gibson himself, who once joked about Hollywood's dark energies, has quietly banned any staff from speaking about what's happening on set without written clearance. To the studio, it looks like brand protection. To those inside, it feels like containment.
Yeah, because there's resistance, first of all, from secular Hollywood, where, for whatever reason, Christianity is the one religion that you're allowed to disparage.
Yeah.
Christianity is the one religion where people, all these progressive, open-minded, leftist people, they'll embrace all these different religions until it comes to Christianity.
To understand why this matters now, we have to rewind to the collapse that started everything. In 2006, Gibson was arrested after a drunken rant that ended with headlines branding him unfit for the industry he'd ruled. His reputation never fully recovered. For years, he vanished into self-imposed exile, surfacing only through smaller acting jobs and the occasional directing comeback. Then, in 2023, a forgotten interview from 1998 resurfaced, one where a younger Gibson warned that some of Hollywood's worst nightmares were real. The clip went viral after being tied online to conspiracy circles. Suddenly, Gibson wasn't just a filmmaker again. He was being framed as a whistleblower. By mid-2023, that narrative was already spiraling. Gibson appeared on Fox News discussing California wildfires and floated what he called an insane theory, that they might have been intentionally set for land clearance. Within months, he was promoting Sound of Freedom, a movie praised by conservative audiences, but criticized for echoing Q-linked talking points about elite trafficking networks. Gibson didn't star in the film, but he publicly endorsed it, saying its message deserved attention. That endorsement reignited a cultural divide. Critics accused him of aligning with conspiratorial movements. Supporters called him brave. The pattern was familiar: silence followed by explosion.
Yeah, because there's resistance, first of all, from secular Hollywood, where, for whatever reason, Christianity is the one religion that you're allowed to disparage.
Yeah.
Christianity is the one religion where people, all these progressive, open-minded, leftist people, they'll embrace all these different religions until it comes to Christianity.
Behind the noise, he was preparing something larger. Sources confirmed that around this same period, Gibson finalized a deal with Lionsgate for a long-delayed sequel to The Passion of the Christ. The Resurrection would cover the aftermath of the crucifixion: angels, demons, and spiritual warfare. Budget estimates reached an unprecedented $100 million per installment. And then came the first unusual decision: no script access for buyers, not even at AFM. In an industry built on transparency for financiers, that was unheard of. "We were told to trust the vision," said one European distributor. It sounded more like a sermon than a pitch. The atmosphere on set soon matched the secrecy. According to crew statements, Gibson described the film privately as an acid trip through heaven and hell. One assistant producer recalled a moment when he halted production for a spontaneous prayer session, saying the project carried energy not of this world. That phrase would reappear in a confidential email months later, the first leak to reach the public. Dated March 2024, the message was reportedly written by Gibson's longtime assistant to a Lionsgate liaison. It warned of recurring malfunctions and unexplainable tension among personnel, and suggested an energy not of this world is influencing morale. When the email surfaced online, Lionsgate refused to confirm or deny its authenticity, citing NDA restrictions.
You could, that some of your worst nightmares were real at the time, and you think, Now this is what I mean by actually starting to swim up or downstream with the rest of the salmon, you know, eventually, if you stay here long enough.
Yeah.
You'll find yourself doing that. And you have to, there's a way of doing it without doing it.
Meanwhile, the casting choices only deepened speculation. Jim Caviezel, who had become synonymous with Jesus after the 2004 original, was quietly replaced by Finnish actor Jaakko Ootinen. Caviezel later hinted in a podcast that he had been blacklisted for being too recognizable as Christ. His words reignited the myth that portraying sacred figures curses careers. Within weeks, conspiracy channels were circulating theories that the new film's production troubles were divine retaliation for recasting. The studio dismissed it as superstition, but technicians began keeping rosaries on set. Even secular crew members admitted that the atmosphere turned heavy during certain sequences. Every week brought new incidents. A stunt performer collapsing without cause, unrecorded shadows appearing in footage, electrical surges isolated to specific sound stages. None of it was confirmed by official reports, but the whispers multiplied. "We're not saying it's haunted," one staffer told an Italian newspaper, "but it feels like something is watching us work." Insiders said Gibson reacted to every disruption with religious calm, insisting that interference means we're on the right path. Still, Lionsgate executives grew nervous enough to install private security around the editing rooms. A production once meant to inspire faith was now breeding fear.
Now, the first step in eradicating this crime is awareness. Go see Sound of Freedom.
As press interest mounted, Gibson vanished again. No interviews, no behind-the-scenes footage, no promotional teasers. The studio described the silence as part of a carefully structured marketing approach, but internal memos suggested otherwise. Buyers were told that unintended leaks could distort public understanding. When one junior publicist accidentally shared stills from a scene depicting Christ descending into the underworld, the images were scrubbed from all platforms within hours. Insiders say Gibson personally ordered the takedown, citing spiritual sensitivity. Even among those who admired his conviction, the mood turned uneasy. "It's not a film anymore," a cinematographer confided. "It's a ritual." In the background, the internet kept connecting dots between Gibson's past, his faith, and his recent alignment with figures who claim Hollywood is controlled by unseen forces. Old footage of him discussing gatekeepers resurfaced alongside clips of Ice Cube and Ye voicing similar suspicions. Online, the story became mythic. Gibson, the fallen insider turned prophet, battling an industry he once called corrupt. But behind that narrative lies the real question. Why would a major studio gamble $200 million on a project it's treating like a live grenade? Sources close to Lionsgate say the calculus is simple. Controversy sells. Yet even they admit something about this production feels unstable, almost radioactive.
So are you doing this with historians as well? Are you trying to make it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, historical stuff. Well, I regard the Gospels as history. It's verifiable history. Some people say, oh, it's a fairy tale. He never existed, but he did. And there are other accounts, verifiable historical accounts outside the biblical ones that also bear this up, that yes, he did exist.
The more we trace the pattern, the stranger it becomes. Every public meltdown seems to precede a revelation. Every apology hides a prophecy. The same man who once ridiculed the idea of spiritual warfare now refuses to film without sacred blessing. The same studio that marketed Hunger Games as pure fantasy now guards the resurrection as if it were state intelligence. And those who've seen fragments of early footage describe visuals unlike anything in conventional religious cinema. Scenes of angelic warfare shot with hallucinatory precision, blending biblical imagery with surreal modern undertones. One viewer called it beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Another said simply, "You can't look away." We're left wondering whether Mel Gibson believes he's telling a story or fulfilling one. Because according to those who've worked beside him, the boundaries are fading. On set, he speaks of forces resisting completion. In private meetings, he insists the film will reveal what cannot be unseen. And when asked whether he fears the backlash, he reportedly smiled and said, "That's the point. For now, no one outside that inner circle can confirm what's on those sealed reels. But the leaks, the lightning stories, the studio's silence, all of it points towards something larger than production anxiety, something that feels almost spiritual in scale." As we piece together these events, the secrecy, the warnings, the unexplained breakdowns, one thought keeps surfacing among the people closest to the project. Mel Gibson isn't just making a movie. He's either conducting an exorcism, or he's the one who needs it.
Movies like this, documentaries like this, shows like this, there's a lot of people that don't want to do it because where are you going to platform it? Where are you going to put it up? But if there's a guy that could do it and pull it off, it's definitely Mel Gibson.
Here's what doesn't add up. If the resurrection of the Christ is just a film, why is Lionsgate treating it like a classified operation? We've seen studios hide scripts before, but never contingency plans for unforeseen events. Internal notes from production meetings in Rome mention safety briefings for spiritual disturbances, a phrase more common in theology than in film insurance. Technicians have been instructed to halt filming if any atmospheric anomalies occur during the infernal sequences. One crew member claimed the studio even arranged a nearby chapel for emergency blessings. This isn't management, it's crisis control. What makes it more unnerving is how the studio's quiet precautions mirror Gibson's public spirals. Only months before cameras rolled, he was on national television, wondering aloud whether recent California fires had been commissioned by unnamed forces. He called the theory insane, yet still pursued it. In the same breath, he endorsed Sound of Freedom, a movie hailed by conspiracy circles as proof of hidden evil within the entertainment world. And now, he's spending $200 million on a project centered on angels, demons, and the fall of light itself. When we line those dots together, we see a man who doesn't think he's making fiction. He thinks he's fighting a war.
When I came over here, I was in my mid-20s.
Right.
The first time I really came over here. You know, I had a whole bunch of weird paranoid suspicions about what the hell was going on because there was a lot of stuff I couldn't understand.
Right.
And nobody was really bothering to explain it to me.
The financial logic barely holds. $200 million for a film no one's allowed to see. A script so restricted that even Lionsgate's own board reportedly hasn't read the full version. Buyers at AFM were told they'd receive only concept summaries and storyboards. This isn't how films are sold, it's how evidence is sealed. One executive admitted privately that the company's insurance partners demanded additional legal coverage for acts of God. That phrase alone tells us how blurred the boundaries have become between art and fear. At the same time, Gibson's behavior offset keeps contradicting his public faith in the project. Insiders describe him as meticulous, prayerful, almost superstitious on location. Yet when journalists bring up the so-called curse surrounding the original Passion shoot, he shuts down completely. He'll bless the cameras before rolling, but he won't address the lightning strike that nearly stopped filming 20 years ago. He'll speak passionately about divine purpose, but not about why he's enforcing full silence clauses on his crew. The paradox is staggering. A director who claims to be guided by truth, commanding total secrecy from everyone around him.
The institutions as well,
Yeah.
but that is a very bad one. And I think it's all part and parcel of the same corruption that crept in. And when you asked what's the difference between pre-Vatican II, so Vatican II happened, and of course they took the church and they reformed it, and they changed things in it. And it didn't necessarily agree with everything that went before it.
The rumors from inside Cinecittà Studios paint an even stranger picture. Several crew members have walked off the project, calling the environment an ongoing exorcism. A sound engineer allegedly refused to return after a week of recording distorted frequencies during the underworld scenes. Visual effects teams say Gibson's briefings reference imagery too disturbing for theatrical release. He's reportedly described the hell sequences as an acid trip through eternity. Those words have spread through chat forums and trade messages like wildfire, fueling talk that the film's tone borders on psychological experimentation rather than biblical retelling. We've learned that the production's computer servers are isolated from Lionsgate's main network, another precaution against leaks, or, as one tech supervisor put it, corruption. That choice makes sense for confidentiality, but insiders claim it stems from something deeper. He doesn't want the footage online before it's blessed, said one post-production source. He thinks digital space carries the same contamination as the set. Whether that's artistic metaphor or spiritual paranoia is anyone's guess. Still, we can't ignore how these choices echo Gibson's long pattern of eruption and retreat. Every few years, silence turns to spectacle. The 2006 arrest, the conspiracy interview in 2023, the endorsement of a film linked to cultural paranoia. And now, this monumental resurrection saga hidden behind layers of secrecy. The man who once claimed Hollywood was haunted by darkness now appears to be guarding himself from the same shadows he once mocked. To outsiders, it reads as control. To insiders, it looks like obsession.
I don't think Ice Cube knows who the puppeteers are. He understands that there are puppeteers, and he can tell from his own experience both.
The contradictions only deepen when we follow the money trail. Lionsgate stands to gain a fortune if Resurrection repeats the first film's success. Yet the company's spokespeople avoid any mention of marketing strategy. There's no press kit, no teaser campaign, not even a logo release. A financial analyst from Variety called it the most expensive ghost production in recent history. And still, funding continues. We're told that international buyers have been asked to wire deposits without even viewing a page of dialogue. That kind of blind faith hasn't existed in the business since the silent era. So what exactly is Lionsgate buying? Cinema? Or insurance against something they don't understand? Behind closed doors, the whispers have escalated from superstition to suspicion. Some believe Gibson is deliberately invoking controversy to guarantee attention. Others think he's genuinely convinced the project holds power beyond storytelling. A member of the Italian production unit said he overheard Gibson telling a consultant that truth needs the veil of fiction. But whether he meant theology, politics, or personal redemption remains unclear. What is clear is that the set has become a reflection of his inner turmoil. Half chapel, half command center. Meanwhile, journalists who try to contact the production face silence. No interviews, no stills. Even local authorities in Matera, where exterior scenes were shot, report that filming required unusual night restrictions. One security coordinator described lights visible on the horizon, flaring and vanishing without generators running. It could be tricks of the lens, or it could be something else. Either way, the mythology around the movie is now larger than its marketing budget.
And I was looking at a building with the top of the sixes on it, so there was a huge illuminated 666 in red. And I went from that to that to that, and he started smiling. And I thought, oh no, Chris Walken is the antichrist.
And here's where the truth stings. Hollywood doesn't lock down scripts because of artistic vision. They do it when they're scared. They do it when a project carries reputational risk or internal panic. So what frightens them more? The chance that Gibson's apocalyptic vision might offend the world? Or the chance that he might be right? Because if even half of what insiders report is true, the resurrection of the Christ isn't just a comeback. It's a reckoning disguised as entertainment.
And I've often felt it. I've sat there, and I have felt the knife slipped firmly in between my shoulder blades and tried to have it shoved through the other side through my heart.
One way or another, this production stands as a line in the sand. If the film succeeds, it could rewrite how faith-based stories are financed in modern cinema. If it collapses, it may confirm every rumor that Gibson's genius has turned into delusion. For now, the footage remains unseen, sealed like a prophecy, waiting for judgment. And as we wait, the question lingers in the dark. Is Mel Gibson capturing a miracle or trying to summon one? Whatever happens next, one thing is certain. The Resurrection of the Christ isn't just a sequel, it's a test. And Mel Gibson isn't just the director, he's the first subject. So what do we believe? Faith or fear? Let us know what you think below. And until next time, keep watching the shadows. They might be filming back.